I've now moved the cat because she's being a little bit of a stinker. So she'll help me with this video. She does love to be outside and lay in the sun. I had just finished watching Stranger Things, and today we are going to talk about our power set and why we fear our power set. One of the main plots of Stranger Things season, what are we on, season 4, I think, of Stranger Things, is Eleven trying to get her power back. But she has a lot of fear about being too powerful, destroying everything, making the same mistakes again that she made before. So she kind of goes on, a lot of people call it, the hero's journey, to realize that she's not going to make a mistake. She's not going to oh, hold on. Okay. She's not going to, well, hold on. I lost my earphone. That's why I never shoot. This is why I never shoot on location. Okay. Okay. Hold on. I gotta get her. Okay. Leashed up there. Okay. So it's why we never really talk about what we're so afraid of and why it's so ingrained of us to be afraid of our power set and what we can do. There are a lot of times you're going to notice that everything in the 3D will kind of try to keep you stuck in 3D. I had this conversation with someone on my chat in Twitch a couple days ago, and the person was quoting all these things that can happen. If you strike out and try lucid dreaming, or all of a sudden you want to do what's the other one we talked about? I think channeling, and how dangerous it can be. And a lot of these things are set up, pretty much everything in 3D is set up to keep you in 3D. So it creates a lot of fear about the unknown. So I never try to take a linear consciousness, a 3D consciousness, and apply it to fifth dimensional and above realities, because it's not going to work. The rule sets are different. It doesn't really work here. But if I hear it once, I hear it 100 times, where people never want to believe they have the capabilities to create everything they've created, and they don't want to be that powerful. The precognition, the telepathy, all the stuff they do very naturally anyway that they don't really realize they do, they don't want to realize they do it. They just don't. They don't want to be that powerful. And I've heard it quite a few times when people say it, and there's a reason we say it. But through all our existences, if we go back to Atlantis, which we destroyed Atlantis many times over. And if you live on the East Coast, especially if ever been in the Florida area a lot, that's very Atlantean timelines, really reptilian timelines, where we have a fear we're going to destroy everything again. We have a fear we're going to burn everything down. We have a fear we're going to mess it up again. So a lot of that's built into our human programming to make sure we don't do that. That is why we kind of have all these firewalls up of what we can do and what we're able to do, and our purity level and being able to do something. And I will reiterate that our purity level is how we gain access to our powers. You're not going to get but so much. You're not going to be able to see so far ahead. You're not going to be able to create on a dime, because we have too much human programming in the way. But a lot of that was in the way to kind of keep us from going there and fearing what we would do. So we kind of also have like a purity sector now, where we have to achieve a certain level of purity that we can be trusted with what we can do, and we won't abuse it till we get more. And you won't get more till you're able to do that. It's kind of like when you upgrade in a video game, you get a new power set, but you have to prove you've mastered one level of the game before you get that new power set, or you're just never going to get it. So look at what you're afraid to be able to do. Those are not fears from just this reality, because we have been everything and we have done everything, and we have misused our power. We have seen realities where we have been probably pretty corrupt, and we kind of got overblown with a lot of our power sets, and destroyed the world many times. Many times over we did it. That doesn't mean you're going to do it again. And you're going to find that when you get your power sets start coming online, that you're going to have these moments where you kind of do feel, I don't want to use the word more than, but we kind of do. We feel more than somebody else. We feel really important, but there's a part of that process because we never feel important. We never feel like we do any of that stuff. We never feel like we are able to do any of that stuff. So once we get to the point where we can do that stuff, and we want to tell people, we want to share dreams we have about people. We want to share a lot of stuff, but sometimes we shouldn't share. But we kind of have to go through sharing to realize what we should share and what we shouldn't share. I used to do that a lot. Good part if you want to feel special. You want to impress someone with what you're able to do. I don't normally do that anymore, just because I understand that some information that we all have privy to, just reading our field, it's not even like it's invading someone's privacy, which you'll see a lot of people really in their human consciousness think it's like an invasion of privacy, that you're kind of invading someone's mind in a sense. It's really just you're reading the field, and your field gets more expansive. You're able to read everyone that's in your field, everyone that's ever touched your field. You can just tune into them in a second. You just have the powers that you don't believe. Like, I know, as an example, if the cat's looking a little wonky, or she has something going on, or she's acting a little weird, I can kind of go into that consciousness and see how her body feels. So these are little things we can sort of try, especially if you have animals around, and you can just kind of go into that consciousness and feel into their body to see, does something hurt? Is she in pain a little bit? What's going on with her? And you can do that with people too. You can always reach out and touch the consciousness of people, but you can only do that when you're in your purest place. And you're not going to use the information for anything. You just want to kind of see what's going on, especially if they're on your mind or they're in your field a lot. And that doesn't have to mean they're physically in your field. They're kind of more energetically in your field. These are just games we can play. I do suggest you start out on maybe animals first. And if you do want to kind of feel into what's going on with people. And in the human realm, if you were thinking about someone, you might check their Facebook, or you check their Instagram. That's what a human would do, But when we're in our higher realm, sometimes you can just kind of hone into the consciousness to see what's going on. But that doesn't mean you're sharing that. It doesn't mean you're telling them that. We learn not to do that. But in the beginning, you're going to do that. One, you want to prove if you're right, because there are right and wrong things. You want to prove you're actually doing it. So there is a phase where we do that. But then there's a phase you pull back and you just notice that if you're getting it for a reason. And if you're checking in on someone, you're checking in because they're almost... You kind of know who it feels appropriate to feel into. Is kind of how I'm going to put it. You're just going to feel into them and kind of see what's going on, especially if you feel them kind of bearing down on you a little bit energetically. Because remember, we're always reading the field. We're always going to be reading the field. We're always going to be reading what's in our field. And that never means physical people. That's an energetic field. So you have opportunities to look at different futures. You have opportunities to check in on everyone in your life. Anyone you ever want to check in on. There's no boundaries to what you're able to do. There's just a purity level you have to come from when you do it to see what is going on here. Do I have a role to play here, or do I not? I normally feel like if I'm getting something pretty strong and I want to do my own kind of investigation on what's going on, I have some role to play, but it might just be to know that this is going on, and that's usually just the only role for me. I don't really go much deeper than that anymore, because I've learned over time that if I was physically needed, they would physically be in the reality. And if they're not physically in the reality, then my presence is not physically needed there. So just play around with what you can do, and don't be afraid of what you can do. And know that you have your own checks and balances in place as far as how quickly you're going to progress with what you can do, and the limits you're going to have on it if you're coming from an ego place with it. And none of the stuff I said today, I want to come from an ego place with it. It's just showing what we are capable of doing, what we do have the capacity to do when we function from those spaces and those places. But there is going to be a fear around it, especially in the beginning, because it's so wonky. When you tap into different realities, when your dreams start going wonky, everything feels like it's sort of in different... It just feels so off the chain. We don't know what to do with it. So just realize that there's more than your human brain will ever comprehend what you're going to be able to do. And not to fear it. Because everything in your reality is still just you. It's just a different reality of you. It's a different aspect of you, no matter what it is. Everyone in your reality is an aspect of you. That's why they might really start pressing on you from time to time. And I say pressing, to me, it's more like energetic pressing. I'll feel it pretty strong with people after a while. It just feels like it's almost pressing in on me. It also means I've got a clear stomach around the person. It always goes back to us. You know, it always is going to go back to us. It's always going to go back to what we're able to do. But look at where you do overstep your boundaries, because when you get into energetic boundaries, that's another lesson we learn over and over and over again, that we don't want to overstep. And I kind of got to where if no one's asking my opinion, I don't give it. No one's asking me to participate in a reality, I don't participate. Because in one hand, I don't want to be in a reality where I am not asked to be there. You know, there's no point in that. That's more of our ego trying to place ourselves there. So there's also going to be a boundary line for a while. And then eventually that boundary line will get moved when you're not coming from the distortions around the power set and our power sets and what we fear we're going to do again because we did it so many times over. So I think I'll leave it there. This kind of went a little sideways. I don't really think I was going to go to those places, but I guess it was important for someone to hear that. And the cat is still, well, though she has taken her harness off, so I'm going to log off before she makes a bolt for the tree line, and I'll spend the rest of my day in the woods. So keep practicing the art of intuition.